So you may have seen the title of today's webinar is Goals Should Motivate Action. And I have another talk that I do when it relates to like day-to-day goals inside of a shop. That may even be in the alumni library. It's a presentation I gave at one of our graduation ceremonies. So this won't be about that, but we thought, as a team here at SalesFix, that having something related to goals would be a great idea at the start of the year, right? Whether you're, a New Year's resolution person or whatever the case might be, we wanted to have something just to maybe give you that spark of motivation to kind of, hit the year off running. So I was thinking about it a lot, and how I've always approached executing on my goals. I really got it kind of narrowed down to, in my mind, goals should motivate action, right? Because if we don't take action, we're not going to get anywhere. So, like the kind of synopsis said in the write up, right? Saying that you want to do this or accomplish that, right, is easy, right? Man, I'd really love to do this. I really my goal is to do this. We can say it, but it's the follow through that's the hard part when it comes to goals. Every time I ask, and when we, goals was part of our, certification course. I mean, way back, and I mean, module 2. That's something, But I swear, every time I ask the question in that during that weekly call about, hey, who here sets goals regularly? No hands come up, right? It's just no one makes goal setting part of their life. And as I'll mention later, it doesn't have to be one of those like go 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 situations, but just not a lot of hands go up when you ask about goal setting. And I think it can be this intimidating thing because whatever reason you're afraid of failure, it's too hard to get started, all kinds of reasons. But right, that follow through is the hardest part, absolutely. And right, change can be intimidating. It can be freezing, right? Freeze you in place. It can be paralyzing. It can also be freeing, right? It can, actually, release you to be able to accomplish a lot of things all at the same time, right? That's the crazy thing about goals, right? Intimidating, freeing, paralyzing. It can just be a lot of things, but it's necessary, right? Without change, right? You won't do this or you won't accomplish that, right? You can want it, but without change, it's not going to happen. Because clearly, if you were already able to do it, you would be doing it. So to get there is going to require some change. Uh, right? Change is the action that you take day by day, right, to reach your goals. But the more intentional and committed you are to taking that action, right, the more likely you are to be successful in reaching your goals. So on that note, an important thing to realize and why it can be so intimidating to get started is that, right, if you want change, right, you have to make the change, right? So if change is the action that you take day by day, week by week to reach your goals, who's driving that change, right? Who's in the driver's seat? Well, if you're going to expect to get anywhere, you are, right? You're the person in the driver's seat. You can't be a passenger when it comes to achieving your goals, right? There may be people in the car rooting you on for success, right? But you must be the person driving if you expect to, one, get where you want to go. And then two, right, grow as a person and as an advisor, if these are, career, specific goals, right, as a result of that change, right? If you're not the person driving it, the growth will get lost on you because you're not the person causing that change to happen. So, right, you want to be the person causing the change, not having the change happen to you. It's an important piece of that puzzle, right? If change is happening to you, you will not gain the benefits of, right, the end of that path because you weren't driving it, you weren't controlling it. It was happening to you. Whoever was in charge will gain the benefits of that. They'll grow, but you'll just be a bystander. And so that's a scenario where you no longer have ownership of your goal and somebody else has hopped into the driver's seat, right? So what this causes is lack of motivation, lack of progress, and ultimately really leads to failure of your goal, right? If you're not the person in charge driving it, again, because you're not feeling the benefit of that growth, You're like, man, I'm driving this thing and I'm seeing progress. I'm motivated. If you're not the person doing that, you don't get that motivation, right? You're watching somebody else find motivation and see them grow, and you're like, what the heck happened? I had my goal, but somehow it transferred hands, and I'm not sure when that happened. So you got to be in the driver's seat, right? If you want change, make change. It is up to you. And this isn't a like be the change you want to see in the world. It's not that kind of a thing. It is literally right. Change is the action you take day by day. You have to be the person making that change. So take ownership over that. Be in the driver's seat. If you don't, you will lose that motivation, and you'll see your goals fizzle out because you let your hands off the steering wheel. And either somebody else was there to if you had people in the car rooting for you, they might even take the steering wheel over for you and act as if like they're helping. It's still your goal, but in reality, if they're taking charge, they now have a new goal for themselves, right? Just to try and help you hit your goal, but you're not in the driver's seat anymore. It's kind of a weird thing, but and then ultimately it just fizzles out because you're not motivated, so you're not giving the driver direction, and they're like, "Well, I'm trying to help you, but I don't really know where you're wanting to go," and it just kind of fizzles out into nothing, and no one gets anywhere. So if you want change, make the change. It's up to you, right? Hitting your goals is truly up to you, right? I mean, if there's a target in mind and it's you're trying to grow, it is up to you to hit that goal. But like I said, there may be other people in the car, right? So the beautiful thing about goals and the thing that a lot of people forget is that you don't have to do it alone. And this is also a key factor when it comes to helping when it comes to folks succeeding in hitting their goals. And that comes down to accountability, right? So if you really, really want to, if you're motivated and you really want to hit this goal, there's a lot of things you can do when it comes to accountability. I'm going to mention a few here that might be helpful, but again, not realizing that you don't have to do this alone can be a key part in helping you not just lose track, right? Not fizzle out, not get into the mundane, in and out of life, and then what happened to that goal from 4 months ago? I'll try again next year. So accountability. One way to do this: tell somebody about your goals. Talk about your goals. So like speak your goals into existence, right? I'll mention in a moment that some goals are private goals. But a lot of them, if you just verbalize the fact that, yeah, I'm really excited, I'm trying to do this year. And everyone you talk to, you're saying, yeah, I got this, I'm trying to do this, it's going pretty well. And you just make it a point to like verbalize what you're trying to do this year. The more you verbalize it and speak it into existence, it kind of holds yourself accountable to not want to like, hey, I've told all these people I'm trying to do this thing in varying capacities. It's not like say, hey, my goal is this, my goal is this. You're just bringing it up, right? I have goals I've set for myself this year, and just in conversation, when I'm catching up with friends and just chit chatting, hey, what's going on? Yeah, I'm doing this, and I'm trying to do this and this year, so that's pretty cool. Oh, that's great. And we move on. But I say that multiple times to all kinds of people all the time. So I keep verbalizing, yeah, I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. It's going pretty well. Like, well, now I have all these people that like they're not my accountability partners, but I would like to not have to tell all of them that I stopped trying. It's really kind of a way to of soft accountability, right? The more I say it out loud, the more I speak it into existence, the more I'm kind of okay. Well, I kind of need to do this because I'm telling lots of people I'm trying to do this. So that's one way to do it. It's just to keep making it real, right? If it only exists in your head and nobody else knows about it, it's not always a real thing. Now, sometimes it is, right? And which I'll mention just in a moment. But before we get there, right, you do have, so I mentioned a moment ago, actual accountability partners. So this is a great thing for goals. If you have something where you're just going to need someone to hold you accountable, right? Someone who will make you uncomfortable if you're not making changes to reach your goal, right? Tell them, hey, every 2 weeks on a Monday, call me and give me a hard time. Hey, once a month, the last day of the month, call me every single month, ask me about this and give me a hard time, right? Find someone who's going to push your buttons, make you uncomfortable, and make you dread that phone call because for the last 29 days, you haven't made any changes, right? You're gonna be like, crap, Kenny's calling me next tomorrow and I'm not done anything. Can I do anything to be able to at least give a report back? So, but really, if accountability partners are key sometimes when it comes to succeeding in your goals. Having somebody who will push you, who will make you uncomfortable, and who will make you feel bad about not making changes to hit your goal. Right? We need that sometimes. It's just human nature. So if you have something that you truly want to do in your stores, this might literally be your general manager. Say, hey, I set some goals for myself at the end of the year to be at this ARO, to be at this gross profit dollar per hour, to be better at my phone skills, to do this or do that. Right. I'd like to, if you don't mind, once a month have a check-in, with me and see what have I been doing to try and achieve that. I need you to do that. I mean, they're tracking your numbers anyways, guys. You can I bet you dollars to pennies they're tracking the numbers. But if you can ask them, hey, make an intentional point to check in with me, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever it is, I would really appreciate it to help pull me accountable. It's a meaningful thing. So accountability partners is one more thing. Now, the last thing is private goals. These are the hardest, honestly, because right, some goals are only for you to know, kind of what you're working on yourself, right? Things that you're striving for that just are meant to not be shared for whatever reason. So they can be the hardest because it's all on you, but usually they're the most meaningful because you are keeping them private. So if you have the private goals, the best way to hold accountability to those is one, you can write it down somewhere to at least get it into existence, but maybe it's in a place where it's, if you have a journal or a book or anything like that that you write into, put it there so at least it's out of your head and into reality. But then also, if you do have a significant other or a spouse, maybe that's the one person you could share it with, right? The best friend that you've always, that just knows you better than anybody else. Maybe you can tell them, but at the very least, writing it down somewhere where you can check in on it every now and then and just see where you're at. But private goals are sometimes, a part of goal setting and what you have going on. They can be the hardest, but oftentimes they're the most worth it. So that's a little bit on the accountability part. I think the most powerful one that I've ever found, as powerful as accountability partners are, just talking about it, speaking into existence, right? Making it a known thing, right? This might be even just as simple as nonverbal uh, 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 communication, right? At your store, you have a goal for your ARO, your total sales. You have a sticky note on your monitor that just says, 2024 goal, this much sold, right? $120,000, a month. Or for the year, my goal is 1.4 million, right? Gross sold on a sticky note. And you're not verbalizing it, but you're putting it out there. It's public, right? Anybody that walks by your computer can see, hey, this, you have a goal of 1.4 million. Oh yeah, I'm really aiming for that this year. That's pretty cool. That might be enough sometimes, right? You've made it real. It's out there. So whatever that means for you, but just putting it out there and communicating to put it in reality can be just a very motivating thing because you're not letting it just exist in your own head. Now, one big thing with goals is how much do you want it? Right. And this is where the motivation part really comes into play. So if you're not willing to make changes, right, and take action towards your goals, say, hey, I'd love to do this. I'd like to do this. I'd like to end the year at 1.4 million. I would like to, right, have enough money saved up by the end of the year to put a down payment on a house. I would like to, whatever it is, right? If you're not willing to make changes to take action towards those goals, how much do you really want it? Like, I mean, really, you have to check yourself. How much do you really want it? If, what are you not willing to sacrifice to make that goal happen? Couch time at home after work, your pride, right? The idea that someone might know better than you and allowing them to speak into your situation and help. What are you holding on to that's making it so hard to execute on change that can lead to action? Right? What are you holding on to? And so you might have to tackle that first, right? Because goals, if you really desire them and want to hit them, they should motivate action. Right? Does the goal just seem out of reach? Are you putting the carrot too far away? And it just seems so unattainable, right? Okay, well, can you break it down into smaller, more achievable goals to help you get momentum, right? Momentum can be a big thing when you're trying to hit your goals. So if something just seems like way out of reach and just, I mean, I could do it, but I just don't even know how. Well, and this kind of goes back to, module two, but can you break it down into smaller bits to at least get you some momentum to get going? Right? That might be one way to do that. But goals should motivate action. If you're not willing, if you have this goal, but you just can't take that action, as small as it might be, literally going home, not turning the TV on, sitting down at your kitchen counter and just doing whatever that goal requires, writing something down, watching a video, uh, right? Spending 15 minutes doing something, right? That's one of my goals. I have a goal to learn a new language this year. And so far, every single day, I have engaged with my learning program, right, on with some amount of time to make that happen. But it's required me to go home and be like, I can't even go in the living room right now. I got to go home. I have to avoid that room because I know if I do, I'm going to sit down and then my mind's gone, right? So that small amount of change, my change is in my daily routine. I go home and instead of doing this, I'm going to do this because I know myself and I know my habits. So my small change was change my daily routine, which motivated it allowed for action to happen, right, every single afternoon. So as small as that change might be, if you're not able to do that, there's something getting in the way, right? Is that couch time more important than your goal? You have to decide that for yourself, right? How much do you really want it? Are you just clocking in? So this is a big one, and I don't mean just at work, but just in general, right? So I mean, if you're just clocking in and clocking out of life, right, you do stall out, right? You pass years go by, and you look back and you're like, I'm kind of the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm kind of the same person I was 5 years ago, right? And I'm not saying that you need to be that personality that just goes and never stops, and it's always about growth. I mean, I know there's those people out there. You're allowed to, right, enjoy your life, but if you never go at all, right, then you never have something new to enjoy, right? You're enjoying the same thing you did 5 years ago if you're the same person you were 5 years ago. So, right, it's just always the same. So when it comes to clocking in, just in general, just think about, okay, when's the last time, right, when I look back at myself 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and many of you probably have experienced change. You're not the same person, but it's very easy, especially as you get older, to fall into those patterns, right? To where like you've achieved a lot. I mean, who you were at 35 compared to 20, at 40 compared to 30, right? A lot of growth happens there. And right, there's time to enjoy that, but it doesn't mean that we get comfortable and stop setting goals for ourselves, both professionally and personally. So just don't clock in and clock out. Always give yourself something to achieve, something to work towards, and find the way to make change in your career and in your life to make that happen. Now, there is, of course, work-life balance. So, I mean, as it relates to work and clocking in and clocking out, right? Being an advisor, right, or rather being in sales, right, is not necessarily a 9 to 5 job, 40-hour-a-week job. I'm sure many of you have understood that for a long time if you're an advisor by yourself in a store, right? The selling manager in a store, right? Whatever your situation is. But I'm sure you all have your shifts, right? Hey, my shift is 7 to 4 or 9 to 6 or whatever it is. And that's great. And right, do we have those weeks, those days where it works out perfectly? Sure, absolutely. But if you're really wanting to achieve something great, right? Let's say last year you worked your 9 to 5, you came in on time, left on time, and there may have been an opportunity to put in a little bit of extra time, and you just didn't make sense, and you hit 1.2 million in total sales that year. Well, if you want to hit 1.4, can you do the same thing you did last year? No, you have to put in a little bit of extra effort. Now, I'm not saying you don't have that work-life balance and you give your life away to your job. But, sales guys, when it comes to sales, also as an advisor, of all the sales positions you could have in the industry, in any industry, I mean, most salespeople work crazy hours every single weekend, right, into the night, right? Just chasing leads. It's just, it's intense. It's difficult. It's challenging. We have an amazing seat as a service advisor in our business with sales. to where, I know, hopefully many of you in your stores have, you're closed at least one day of the weekend, maybe both, right? Closed on normal holidays, and you have decent hours. So you have a lot going for you. But don't be afraid to put in a little bit of extra work, right? Just to achieve, right, those goals. It's not giving your soul away to the company or anything like that, but just when extra effort is needed to reach a goal, just how much do you want it, right? And again, there's that work-life balance there, but it's worth mentioning because if you're willing to put in a little bit extra, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve, right, through that extra effort. So when it comes down to it, what do you want to see at the end of the year, right, in yourself, right? Your metrics, your ability to multitask, your level of confidence, your phone skills, I mean, your sales, going back to your metrics, like what do you, right? Do you want to work towards being a manager of a store? Do you want to work towards being a district manager? Like, what are your professional goals in your store to not be the same advisor you are today at the end of December 2024, right? And if you're watching this video at a later date, right, the end of December 2025, 2026, whatever year you're watching this in, right? What do you want to see at the end of this year, right? Whenever you're watching this in the future. Think about that. What change can you make to allow you to take action to make that happen, right? What can you do to bring in accountability to that scenario, to that equation? Because it's important. It's important, like I said, to always be just working towards bettering yourself, I think both professionally and personally. So again, we have those times where we achieve a lot and we just get to win for a little while, right? Enjoy that success, and that's perfectly fine, but you can't stall out, right? You can't just, again, look back in 5 years and be like, okay, well, the economy's changed a lot, but my numbers are the same. Why has that happened? You have to identify that, right? And then make a new goal for yourself and figure out, okay, well, to hit that goal, I got to, change this, and that change will, create this action to happen, right? It'll motivate me to take action. So goals should always motivate action, right? If they're not, then they'll never get off the ground, right? They're just dreams, and dreams are great, but you got to have goals to get there. So that's it, guys. Just a little bit of, beginning of the year motivation, or if you're watching this later in the year or at any point in the future and it's in the middle of the year, end of the year, just some motivation to push you towards thinking about what's next. Right? What version of me do I want to see in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, whatever the case might be. So on that note, any questions? Anybody have any goals that they've set for themselves for this year that they'd want to share? Just to say that, yeah, actually, I've set goals for myself. Right? You can throw it in the chat, unmute yourself. Zoe, what is it? Goal 150K a month by 9/6/24. Awesome. Did you just write that? No, okay, awesome. I love that. It's a perfect example right there in your face for her to see, obviously, to hold herself accountable, but everybody else can see that too. Love it. You should do that. It makes it, bring it into existence. Caleb says 1.3 for the year. Awesome, Caleb. And if you're feeling yourself lacking motivation or not, again, the way you can change that is to get some help. Again, you're not doing goals alone. You don't have to, right? Other people that care about you want to see you win. So if it's just a matter of them coming in and saying, hey, you got this. That's all it takes sometimes. I needed that. Thank you. Let me get back into this, right? Bringing people to help. Andy says, to solve a Rubik's Cube in less than a minute. Love it. I wonder if are you a competitive Rubik's Cuber? I don't know how you say that, but okay. I've seen those videos, though. The competitions. That is just insane. So it doesn't, it sounds silly. It's a goal, right? Do it, right? He's gonna be intentional about, making time for that. If that's a goal, it isn't small goals, big goals, just, take action to do it. All right, guys. Well, on that note, that's all I have for you. I hope you got something out of this that you can take with you and just, at the very least, give you a spark, right, for the rest of this month and go into the new month. And guys, if you need anything, you're always able to reach out to me, james@salesfix.com, if you have any questions about this or want to chat about anything else service advisor related to sales. Otherwise, guys, have a great rest of your month, and we'll see you next month, I'm sure. Thanks.